श्री परमात्मने नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुद्रयेत्। श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता साधकासंजीवनी 7th chapter Knowledge of the Absolute, verses 20 to 23. Description of the worship of other gods with its fruit. In the verses 16 to 19, Lord Krishna described the 4 types of devotees who seek refuge in Him. Now, in the 3 verses that follow, the Lord describes those devotees who seek refuge in the gods. Verse 20. कामेस्तैस्तैर्हरितज्ञानः प्रपद्यन्ते अन्या देवताः तं नियमम् आस्थाय प्रकृत्या नियताः स्वया. Those whose discrimination has been led astray by various desires, constrained by their own nature, take refuge in other gods, undertaking vows relating to each. Comment. They have desire for prosperity, greatness and pleasures arising from pride. Similarly, they have a twofold desire in performing virtuous deeds, to be considered pious in this world and to enjoy pleasures in the next world. Thus, discrimination is led astray by desires, and so they cannot distinguish the real from the unreal, the eternal from the transient, and emancipation from bondage. They are constrained by their own nature because their discrimination is led astray by desires. Though a man can't give up his nature, yet he can purify it by removing evils. He is quite free to make his nature pure and stainless. But so long as he aims at fulfilling his desires, he can't purify his nature, and to him it appears that his nature is powerful while he is weak. When a striver fixes his aim to be free from desires, he can purify and improve his nature and is not constrained by it. Verse 21. Yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhyarchitum ichhati tasya chalam shraddham tam eva viddhamiham. Whatever celestial form a devotee seeks to worship with faith, I make the faith of that devotee in that form steady. Comment. The Lord makes the faith of devotees steady in the gods whom they seek to worship. The Lord does not force them to have faith only in Him. The faith in other gods does not lead them to salvation because they adore them to satisfy their desire. But He makes the faith of a devotee firm in Him if he has faith in Him and he wants to attain salvation because He is the disinterested friend of all beings. Now, a question arises why the Lord does not make the faith of all persons firm only in Him. The Lord seems to answer the question by saying that if He stabilizes their faith only in Him, they lose their independence and He is proved selfish. So, He sets an example for human beings that they should be impartial and should not motivate other people to have faith in them and adore them only. The second question arises that the Lord, by stabilizing their faith in other gods, does not think of their welfare because that faith does not lead them to salvation. The answer is that if He stabilizes their faith in Him, removing it from others, they will cease their reverence and faith in Him. But if they are given independence, being intelligent and wise, they may be attracted towards Him, and that attraction will lead them to salvation. This is the best way to their salvation. The third question arises that the Lord, instead of uplifting them, degrades them by stabilizing their faith in other gods. The answer is that He stabilizes their faith not only in gods but in anyone whom they wish, desire, to adore, and they are free to change their wish because they have discrimination which is possessed by a man. Had they been weak, incapable, and helpless in changing their inclinations, desire, then what glory is there of this human birth? By using this discrimination, they can kill the enemy in the form of desire that is hard to overcome. Verse 22. सातया श्रद्धया युक्तास्तस्याराधनम् इहते लभते च ततः कामान् मयैव विहितान् हितान्. Endowed with that faith, he worships that God and obtains his desired enjoyment as ordained by me. Comment. The devotee whose faith has been made firm by me worships the God and obtains his desired enjoyment. Actually, his desire is satisfied by me, but he feels that his desire has been satisfied by the gods. The fact is that the gods' power is nothing else besides my power, and they satisfy the desires as ordained by me. The gods are just like the government officers in different departments, so their power is limited. The gods at the most can carry their devotees to their worlds, but after reaping the fruit of their virtuous deeds, they have to come back to this world. Now, Lord Krishna describes the fruit according to their worship. Verse 23. Antavat tu phalam tesham tad bhavtya alpamedhasam devan deva yajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. The fruit gained by these people of meager intellect is perishable. The worshippers of the gods attain the gods, whereas my devotees attain me alone. Comment. The worshippers of the gods gain finite and perishable fruit. Here a question arises that the fruit ordained by God should be imperishable. Why do they gain perishable fruit? The answer is that they have desire for perishable fruit, and moreover, they accept God's entities separate from God. But if they worship the gods without a desire for fruit, or worship them as divine manifestations having no separate entity, they can gain imperishable fruit, namely, can realize God. By using the phrase Alpa Medhasam, meager intellect, Lord Krishna means to say that such devotees are of meager intellect, because they have to undertake several vows and follow several methods, but the fruit is finite and perishable. But in the worship of the Lord, a devotee without undertaking several vows and without following several methods gains infinite and imperishable fruit. The worshippers of the gods follow the cycle of birth and death, while the worshippers of the Lord, being free from the shackles of birth and death, attain salvation. The worshippers of the gods attain the gods, whereas the devotees of the Lord attain Him. As they are votaries of gods, they are not devoted to the Lord, so their intellect is meager and paltry. The devotees of God, whether they worship Him with a desire or without a desire, attain Him, but it is not necessary that their desires may be satisfied. God satisfies their desires only if they are for their welfare, but if they are harmful for the devotees, the Lord does not satisfy them. An exceptional fact. The whole universe is nothing besides the manifestation of God. But we are unable to realize this fact because first we accept the world as a separate entity from God, and secondly we have desires. If we accept the universe as divine manifestation, our desires will be rooted out, or if we root out desires, the universe will be seen as divine manifestation. Then all our actions will be performed as service to God. If both are done together, we will be immensely benefited. Om Tat Sat. All glories to Sri Partha Sarthi, Lord Shri Krishna. All glories to Bhagavad Vani, Srimad Bhagavad Geeta. Sri Hari Arpanamastu.